Now, it's really great to be back in East Malaysia. I recently finished my studies and I went back to West Malaysia. And I was greeted by something that was so emblematic of why I love Sarawak and Borneo so much. It was a difficult time for West Malaysians. We had to face with a lot of uncertainty. I'm not talking about the haze, it's still there. But what we were faced with was racial sentiments. I'm a person, one thing that resonates very, very strongly with me, two things really, is racism and leadership. And when I saw what was happening, where the streets were empty, where the mall, Mid-Valley Mega Mall, I don't know if you guys have heard of this mall, on holidays it's packed. You can't get in. Every road becomes a bottleneck. But on that day, September 16th, it was empty. A day that we were supposed to celebrate Malaysia's success was shrouded. It almost felt like the Grinch had stole Christmas. It was a weird feeling. Now, my mother and I have a lot of things that are uncommon. For instance, she doesn't like to drink. I can't wait for 8 p.m. She's extremely, very careful with her spending. I can get a bit generous. And one thing that we have in uncommon between us is that she was born in the 60s. I was born recently. But during her time, in the 60s, it was a great year for mankind. It was as if that was the renaissance of leadership. If you look back at the American civil rights struggle, you see great leaders. You see people that you want to lead you. You see people who you want to hear. You're talking about John F. Kennedy. You're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. You're talking about Malcolm X, my personal hero. But now, for me, I'm faced with leaders who have done nothing but bad things. Leaders who have divided us. Leaders who have taken us away from where we were once ago. Now, I encourage you all to read the book by Dr. Farish Noor called What Your Teacher Didn't Tell You. And when you read that book, you will realize just what a great country this was. For instance, the famous keris was actually a symbol of Malacca's greatness. It was even sent to Scandinavian countries. It's a form to symbolize our trade and how amazing our entrepreneurship was. But now it's become nothing more than just a weapon. Never in the time of the human species have we needed to create a new brand of leaders. People who champion us. People who usher in a new time for us, a time of prosperity, a time of equality, a time of peace, a time of freedom. When I was in Curtin, I led a total of more than 20 over events. And when I did that, I came across many, many different individuals, most of them like you. And today, in the spirit of looking on to the next chapter, I don't want to talk about what's wrong. I don't want to talk about how upset I am with the state that my country that I love so much is in. I want to talk about the future. And at the end of the speech, I want y'all to go home and face a simple choice. A very simple choice. A simple truth. That change is in our capacity. That we can do it just by being us. It's one of the most things that I love about America. I'm very critical of that country. But one of the things that I really like about them is their Declaration of Independence. In there's a line that goes, all men are created equal. I love that line. It's a truth that we don't embrace enough. And I think if we did, the world would be a different place. Now, when I was in Curtin, Sarawak, I realized that the term leadership had suddenly changed. You're talking about a past. You go back to our history books and you can see people like Abraham Lincoln just coming out in a time where leadership was never really addressed. It was never a topic. In fact, reports have stated that in the past 20 years, that was when leadership suddenly became a focus of everyone. You're talking about individuals, you're talking about companies, you're talking about institutions, you're talking about everyone. Here's a fun fact for you. In 2012, all companies in the US, not all, companies in the US collectively spent $12 billion on leadership. On leadership, 12 billion. But here's the funny part. 60% of US companies say that they don't have leadership personnel, that the leadership qualities in people are missing. And for them it's difficult because it impedes performance. 70% of Americans believe that the lack of leadership in people is why the economy is doing so badly. We have come to a position in our history, our journey in this world, where leaders are needed. It's not longer wanted, it's required. We need them. We need you. We need people like this team who have brought this amazing event to this campus, who's going to change lives. We need those people. And I'll tell you why this has happened. Leadership, from a quality that you all possess, has become a subject. Leadership, why it's in such a bad condition now, is for three things: education, society, and you. Your choices. Now I'll start with education. Before the Industrial Revolution, there was no such thing as a national education system. There's no such thing. It started off because countries needed skilled people to work. Thus, the modern day education system was formed. Now the word school, that's a word that we all know, yeah? For me, I associate school with waking up 6 in the morning and, I can't go to school. Oh, no, get up, you know. She doesn't kick me, I'm sorry. Painting a bad picture of you. School, in fact, comes from ancient Greece. Because the Greeks used to associate their word for leisure, which was school, to a time where they would debate, discuss, learn, teach among philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and they would discuss. And they associate the word leisure to this experience. Now, here's a question for you. How many of you associate the word leisure to your time in school? You do? Nice. Now, school is not bad. Education is not bad. John F. Kennedy said that leadership and learning goes hand in hand. I agree with education. I think you need to learn, you need to promote yourself. But the problem with education, when it comes to leadership, is that it has taken leadership from an innate quality and turned it into a subject that you learn in a classroom. It has taken leadership where it was a source of prophetic voices, it was a source of great decisions, courageous decisions, people who gave up their lives for change, for a better tomorrow, to tests, assignments, tasks, and thus it lost its definition of being something that we own. Now, I'm not saying to stop progress, to stop enhancing yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you go to such avenues, such channels to learn, go there knowing that you are a leader, that you have that quality in you. Now, just now I mentioned about the money that's being spent and the resources that are being spent. I mean, if you look at universities across the world, you see everybody seems to have a hard-on for leadership. You have institutions, you have centers, you have programs, whatnot. So here's a good question. Why is it that with all the resources, do we not have such great personalities? Or here's something better. Why is it in the past, when we had no focus on it at all, we had such great individuals? It's because those people from the past accepted one truth that most of us are afraid of. Is that you are a leader. Is that you have a choice of making things different, of turning the world around. Now, another problem with leadership, with education and leadership that I see is that what happened when leadership and education were thrown into the same mixing pot was that when it came out, there were compartments, which I noticed a lot, where if you wanted to be a leader, you either went to politics, you either worried yourself with issues like poverty, with famine, and those kind of things. So it made leadership, so it placed leadership on a pedestal. And so for you to go there now, you see, oh my God, I need to be that. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not a leader. It's not in me. But in fact, it is. You know, one story that I really like was happened in Indonesia, and I stumbled upon this by accident, actually. It was a story about this imam, this Muslim priest, who was staying next to a brothel, okay? And instead of what we would do is that we would argue about the validity of prostitution, whether or not it's right or wrong, should it be legalized, should it be banned, and all sorts of nonsense. What he did was simple. He went out, invited those prostitutes to his home to eat with him. And as they came to his house, he started sharing and talking about things and how they can have a better life. And eventually what happened was all these prostitutes came to his home, they converted, they lived a more aesthetic, a more religious life, a more disciplined life, and that brothel was shut down. So that example shows you that it is in us to bring about change. And we must accept this. For if we don't, things will not become better. Now, another thing that I've noticed in my 3 years at Curtin was that a lot of the issues that are faced by students who are engaging in leadership and such similar fields is society. Society has its own perception of a leader. And you get these perceptions by the movies, shows, stories, biographies, and all that you hear. These channels take people, for example, let's just say Nelson Mandela, let's just say people who are great leaders, and put them on a pedestal and make them seem almost like demigods. And it fills an idea in your mind, subconsciously it plants an idea in your mind that for you to become that, you need to have a prerequisite. You need to have something, an X factor. And most of us will run away, we'll say, no, we don't have that. Now, a fun story about one of the people who have been immortalized and worshipped even in India is Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a man who fought for the independence of India. He's a great man, no doubt. I mean, he's a great man. The independence that India has today, the great things that they have done today, is because of his efforts, no doubt. But he wasn't a perfect man. We build this perfection, this aura, we perceive them to be perfect human beings. And then when we are imperfect, we say, no, we can't be him. Here's another story about Mahatma Gandhi that most of you all may not know. When his wife was ill, the British doctors, went to her and said, oh, you have this, yes, we have the medication for you. You can live, you can cure yourself. And Mahatma Gandhi came and said, no, this is your medication, we will use our own medication and we will cure her. She died. Now, this is where it gets interesting. After that, as if karma struck again, Mahatma Gandhi contracted the same illness. And there he was, and the doctors came and said, oh, you have this disease, same like your wife. We have the pills, medication for you, and you'll survive. Guess what he said? Bring it over. Now that ruins that demigod persona that he had, right? That he was imperfect. I find it very sad when I listen to my colleagues and my friends who talk about leadership as if it's something that is not them, who revere other people instead of accepting the greatness that lies in all of us. There's a saying that I like. It says, what's better than to share your richness with another is helping them discover that they have a richness in them. And I love that saying. All of us have our own passions, our own things that we want to change, that we want to improve. Everyone. I'm sure if you sat down and you thought about it, you have your own areas in the world that you think you want to change. What I'm trying to say is that when you want to embrace this leader in you, you have to understand that it comes by learning. That it is a quality that you have. That you learn experiences to harness this leader through your journey in life. That you have to learn by doing. That you have to take the first step and do something. And the world will change. It doesn't have to be something as big as, like a revolution or something. Russell Brand, speaking of revolution, Russell Brand said it very well. He said, if you want to cause a revolution, you must first revolutionize your mind. And we have to remove society's whole, their chokehold on this, on what we have, the special traits that we have. We have to embrace what makes us amazing, what makes us human, what makes us special. A lot of you all are faced with a lot of chances, opportunities. You know, when I was in here in Curtin, a lot of people were faced with a lot of opportunities to improve and to really go for what they wanted, they truly wanted, but they shied away because they felt that they were inadequate. They felt that they lacked that special ingredient, and that's so sad. Here's another truth. No one knows what they're doing. We all learn by doing. So we are all in the same boat. And I want to come to the last part where I think is a severe problem for leadership is choice. It's you. The future of our race, of where we are going as a people, collectively, I'm not talking about countries or borders, no, collectively as a race, it's up to you. When you say no, when you see something and say, I want to change that, but nah, it's okay, forget it, you are letting that problem go on. When you say to yourself, I'm not a leader because what I want to change is not that important, that's wrong. All that it matters is that it's important to you. That's all that matters. And if you want to change the world, you can. You just have to believe. One of my favorite movies of all time was this movie directed by Steven Spielberg, Schindler's List. Has anyone seen that? Yeah? Okay. One guy, two. Oh, nice. And in that movie, I love the last scene. I love the last scene. The movie was about this man, Oskar Schindler, who decided to save a group of Jews from being prosecuted by the Nazis. That's all he wanted to do. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to do anything else. He didn't want to overthrow the Nazi regime. He just wanted to save a few people. And I love what at the end of the movie, Sir Ben Kingsley's character, I can't remember his name right now, he comes to him and he says, this is the list of people that you have saved. Around it is life. And he said that in his religion, he believed, there's a saying that if you change one person, just one, you change the world. And it's because of that man's efforts to just save these people, now you have a community of Schindler Jews who are living, who otherwise would not have been, who have children, who have children, and they are thriving. Now you must understand something and you must embrace something. We are great beings. Believe it. I like that one statement in the movie Troy, where Brad Pitt turns to his soldiers and he says, immortality is yours, take it. And I want to tell you, the chance to change the world, the opportunity to make things different in your life, in the people around you, is yours. Take it. Thank you.